Once again, Happy New Year. 2017 is here. Has anybody made any New Year's resolutions? A couple hands in the air, Well, I have made a New Year's resolution for abiding grace. I have decided that our church, the vision of our church is going to be that we're going to have our resolution. We are going back to the Y. When I was a kid, has anybody ever been to the Y? YMCA. When I was a kid, we used to go to the YMCA down the street all the time. And it was there that I learned that I do not have the gifts of soccer. I was in an indoor soccer league, and I think I was the only kid in the league who went the whole season and did not score a single goal. But I'll never forget going there because the guy who worked at the front desk, Dad, you remember this? Could not understand that our last name was Billardello. He was convinced that our last name was Ardello and that my dad's first name was Bill. And no matter how many times we explained it to him, he could not understand the concept that our entire last name is Billardello. But we are going back as a church. Our resolution for 2017 is that we are going back to the why. What do I mean by that? Why are we here? Why is it that this church is here in this place? I think we need to revisit that question because we have so many things going on. We are entering our 7th year. Isn't that awesome? 7 years of worshiping right in this building. And so much has happened. It's hard to even remember the beginning days when we were all sitting in those folding chairs, those plastic folding chairs that we don't even have on our side tables anymore. When our altar was one of those half picnic tables. When I used to put my alb on a hanger and hang it from one of the basketball hoops before worship. It's so hard to remember. So much has happened, and now we are so focused on all the stuff of the church, the programs, the exciting things, the new parking lot that's coming that the city of Southlake has so graciously approved for us, even though it was our goal to have it in by Christmas of 2015. I think it's important that we go back to the why. Why are we here? Why do we gather? I think there's 4 important things that we have to say. Why are we here? We are here because we believe. We believe that children are the future of our church. And we are going to do everything we can to pass on the faith to our children. Do you realize that in the last 3 months we have had 6 baptisms? 6. That's one every other week. It's gotten to the point where you all are starting to memorize the baptismal liturgy. Not just me. If I say, do you renounce the devil and all the forces that defy God, you would say? I renounce. Most people would say, sure. You are memorizing the baptismal liturgy because we have so many baptisms. It's wonderful. It is absolutely wonderful. We have crying babies in worship. It's wonderful. It's so great. And then those kids turn into pre-K and elementary school kids who go to Sunday school, and we teach them about the Bible because it's so important they hear the stories of the Bible. And then they get to confirmation, and we ask them, what does this mean to you? And the confirmation students give me all these great sermon tidbits because they're little theologians, and they're brilliant. And then they get to high school, and we say, okay, what does it mean to live this out then? We believe that it's important to pass the faith on to the next generation because they are the future of the church. That is one of the reasons why we are here. We believe that we are here because it is better to live together in a community of faith than it is to live alone. That it is better to live together in an extended family of faith than it is to live alone because life is not always easy. We know that. We've seen that in the last few months. Life is not always easy. And when people are going through crisis and difficult times, it is the community that is there to support them. And when it is us who's going through difficult times, it is the community that is there to support us. We believe that life is better lived in community. And so we live together in community with one another. And sometimes that's not always a beautiful thing. Sometimes we don't always agree on things. But that's okay, because we are brought together by nothing else. Hear this. We are brought together by nothing else except the love of God. And as long as we remember that we are brought together because of the love of God, we can overcome any difference we have with one another. We believe that it's important to be together, to live together in faith. We believe that Jesus died for a reason. We believe that Jesus died for a reason, and our text says it today. People were afraid. They were living as slaves to the fear of death. And we heard today in Herod this terrible story of how Herod went and killed all the children because he was afraid that one of them was going to come and take his crown. We realize that there is evil in this world, but we know because Jesus died and was resurrected that goodness is stronger than evil, that light is stronger than darkness, that love is stronger than hate. Growing up as a kid in the 80s in America, I felt like I knew the difference between good and evil, between goodness and evil. And when the U.S. won the Cold War, it was a victory for good. And I had this sense that goodness would always win, would always win. And then on live TV, I saw what happened on September 11th. And I thought, well, what happened to goodness always winning? And I came to the realization that for goodness to always win in this life, people have to stand up for good. Games haven't even started yet, have they? People have to stand up for what is good. People have to stand up for love. People have to stand up for light. We believe Jesus died for a reason, and we are called to share that reason with the community and with the world. That's one of the reasons why we're here. But I think the biggest reason that we are here, is because we have come to the realization that we are saved by grace through faith because God is love. Do you notice where we found the gospel this morning? It was in the Old Testament reading. Anybody catch that? God saved them because God loved them. We are saved by grace through faith because God is love. Now, for those of you who are doing New Year's resolutions, who are looking for self-improvement, who are whatever it is that you're trying to do, I think that it's very important that in the midst of all that, you realize that there's nothing you can do to improve yourself to make God love you anymore. God will never love you any more than God loves you right now. Because the depths of God's love for you today is beyond anything you can understand. However, I do believe that it's important for each of us to grow in our faith and our understanding of God. I don't think there's anything that Caroline can do to make me love her anymore. That little child has my full heart, and every place in my soul before her where there was hurt and there was emptiness has been filled. I can't even remember what it feels like. I just know that I used to have some sort of emptiness. But at the same time, one of my favorite things to do is to watch her learn and watch her grow. And this has been such a fun year in that regard. I remember when she first started crawling, we were at a dinner group at Rick and Deborah Perry's house. I think the Renwicks, I think you guys were there. It was so neat just to watch. She just learned how to crawl before our eyes. And now she's running. and she's yelling. She's got a few words down, but she can't really speak a whole lot. But you can see in her face when she learns something, when the light bulb turns on, and how much joy that is to watch, and how much joy God has as God watches each of us grow in our faith, understand something new, dive deep into what the Bible is trying to tell us. I can't imagine anything that God delights in anything more than that for you, to watch you grow. These are the 4 whys of why we are here. To pass the faith on to our children, because it is more, life is better lived together, because Jesus died for a reason, and because God has saved us through grace, because God is love. Resolutions that I think are going to take this church back a few years, back to the foundations of why we started gathering together to begin with. But these resolutions that are for our church are also good resolutions for us individually, for us in our lives, because we need to remember, why is it that we get out of bed in the morning? What is our purpose in life? I know I look out and I see so many parents of children who may not live with you anymore, may have grown up, but still, I think you realize how important it is to pass your faith on to the next generation, to pass your faith on to your child. And just because your child is grown doesn't mean that your job is done. I think you realize how important it is to live in community, and how this year you have an opportunity to focus on relationships with other people, living in community with other people. I think you realize that Jesus has died for a reason, and that reason is to proclaim that light is stronger than darkness, that love is stronger than hate, that goodness is stronger than evil. And how can you live that out in your life? And I think we all understand that we are saved by grace through faith, but what does that mean for you? How does that change the way you see God? How can you grow in your understanding of what it means to be a beloved child of God in this place, in this time? What is God calling you to do? 2017 has the opportunity to be a wonderful year for our church and for the members of our church, which our church is nothing without you. This church and any church is nothing without its members. And so I pray that as you go into 2017, you do so looking for ways to experience God, to share God, and to be thankful for what God has done for you and for those around you. Amen.